Hello, children. Once again, I am here with you to take you on an interesting journey with the greatest source of energy on the earth, the sun. We will travel through with an interesting poem, Summer Sun by Robert Louis Stevenson. Robert Louis Stevenson, who was born as Robert Louis Balfour Stevenson, was a Scottish novelist, poet, and travel writer, most noted for Treasure Island, Kidnapped, Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and A Child's Garden of Verses. Summer Sun is included in Robert Louis Stevenson's collection of poems for children, A Child's Garden of Verses, written in 1885. Before beginning with the poem, let us understand the theme or the central idea of the poem. The main idea in the poem is to tell about the power of the sun to spread its warmth and light to bring cheer. In this poem, the poet describes different aspects of the sun's character. When the sun travels across the sky every day, it is calm and composed. In summer, however, it grows brighter. It starts to grow mischievous. It secretly enters through the blinds on the windows and walls of the room. Its rays reach every dark and cold corner and warm them. The sun spreads happiness and cheer even when it sets down, painting the sky in beautiful vivid shades of red. The poet has used a literary technique called personification, where the poet's words bring inanimate objects to life, giving them human qualities and attributes. In the poem, we can imagine the sun as a sort of big cheerful fellow who is always barging in. So in this poem, we are going to read about the sun with human attributes and qualities. In seasons other than summer, when the sun travels across the sky, it is calm and composed. But in summer, it gets a little mischievous. Now we will read about the summer sun, where we can imagine the sun as a sort of big cheerful fellow. Children, in this poem, we'll be referring to the sun as he, because the poet has personified the sun in the poem. Let us begin with the explanation of the poem. Great is the sun, and wide he goes, through empty heaven with repose. And in the blue and glowing days, more thick than rain, he showers his rays. The sun is a great traveller, as it travels far and wide above the hills and across the wide expanse of the sky with great comfort and ease. The poet says that the sun is great as he moves across the wide earth in the sky from east to west. He is calm when he sails across the clear sky. During summer, that means during the blue and glowing days, he shines so brightly that his rays seem thicker than rain as they cover the entire expanse. Children, the sun travels every day from east to west, and this it does with great comfort and ease. It lightens up everything with its sunshine and warmth. He is calm when he sails across the clear sky. During summer, he shines so brightly that his rays seem thicker than rain that falls on earth, and they cover the entire expanse, the entire width of the earth with its sunshine and warmth. Though closer still the blinds we pull to keep the shady parlour cool, yet he will find a chink or two to slip his golden fingers through. Though people may pull down the blinds to stop the light and warmth of the sun from coming in and to keep their parlours cool, but his light somehow finds a small narrow crack or opening to come in through. The rays of the sun that come in through small cracks have been referred to as golden fingers. This is how the poet describes the power of the sun. Parlour here does not mean the beauty salon. It is a traditional word used for a living room where the family could sit together or greet guests. Children, what does your mother do in summers to stop the sunlight from coming inside the room? She must be pulling the curtains or the blinds, as we can see in this picture, to filter the sun's rays or block them totally from coming inside the room, thus trying to keep the room cool. But as the poet tells us, the sun is very mischievous and it finds a narrow crack or a small opening to come inside the room through these narrow cracks and openings. Here, the poet uses personification for the sun when he compares the rays of the sun to the fingers of the humans. He calls them golden fingers because the sunshine is golden. The dusty attic spider clad, he through the keyhole maketh glad, and through the broken edge of tiles into the laddered hayloft smiles. An attic is a room which is directly under the roof of the house, and it is used as a spare room which we can use for storage or for keeping things that we no longer use, broken things, etc. The poet says that the sun goes up the dark and dusty attic where no one else goes, and this dusty attic is spider clad. Like we are clad with clothes, this attic is clad with the spider webs, as you can see in this picture. And as said, the sun is mischievous, he is naughty. He enters the attic through the keyhole. He goes and greets the spider who sits in the darkness through the winter, and the spider is gladdened by this sudden and cheerful visitor. Children, why do you think the attic is dark and dusty and full of spider webs? It is because the attic is a place which is not frequently visited by people. Children, this is a hayloft. A hayloft is a space above a barn, stable or cowshed which was traditionally used for storage of hay or other fodder for the animals. The poet says that the sunlight warms up the loft filled with hay after slipping through some broken tiles, and it makes the dark and gloomy room look brighter and more cheerful. Children, to climb on the loft, we use a ladder. Therefore, the poet uses the expression laddered hayloft. Meantime, his golden face around, he bears to all the garden ground and sheds a warm and glittering look among the ivy's inmost nook. Children, when you are naughty, do you keep doing the same naughty things again and again? No, you keep changing your pranks. In the same way, after a happy tumble in the hayloft, the summer sun now turns his gaze towards the plants and trees outside. It shines in all its glory on the garden. It seems to have the spirit of the little adventurer who wants to explore every corner of the house and neighborhood. And now he sheds light in the dark and damp places covered by the ivy, as if he wants to search some secrets. Above the hills, along the blue, round the bright air with footing true, to please the child, to paint the rose, the gardener of the world he goes. In this stanza, the poet compares the sun's role as a nurturer to that of a gardener, whose loving care helps trees and plants bloom and flourish. Similarly, the sun's warmth and brightness helps life to flourish on earth after the harsh and cold winters. Just as the garden fills up with flowers of different colors, the sky also seems to be decorated with different shades and colors during sunrise and sunset. Here, the sun is referred to as a great artist as he paints the cloudless blue summer sky in such beautiful and ever-changing shades. Like a master gardener, he moves sure-footedly over the distant hills that enthralls little children and brings happiness and cheer. So the poet concludes with the sun's role as that of a gardener and an artist. That brings us to the end of the explanation of the poem. Let us now have a look at the poetic devices used in this poem. Poetic devices are tools that a poet uses to create rhythm, enhance a poem's meaning, or intensify a mood or feeling. As told to you in the beginning, the entire poem is a perfect example of the use of a literary technique called personification, in which a poet's words bring an inanimate object to life. In the poem, we can imagine the sun as a sort of big, cheerful fellow who is always barging in. An example of personification from the poem is the line, "to slip his golden fingers through." Secondly, imagery. Imagery draws on the five senses that help the readers to better imagine the world the poet is referring to. Example, "And in the blue and glowing days, more thick than rain, he showers his rays." In the above lines, we can imagine the clear blue sky with the glow of the sun and the intense warmth of the sun's rays. And lastly, rhyme. Rhyme is the repetition of similar sounding words occurring at the end of lines in the poems. Example, "The dusty attic spider clad, he through the keyhole maketh glad." Here we can see that the end words of both the lines are clad and glad that are rhyming. We can see these rhyming words throughout the poem. That brings us to the end of this beautiful poem, Summer Sun. If you have any doubts or queries, please feel free to ask me. Thank you. Bye-bye.